The cold, endless darkness of space stretched around them like an infinite ocean, dotted with countless sparkling stars that seemed to watch silently as the alien ships drifted closer to the small blue planet below. These were the Xylar, a race of tall, crystalline beings whose bodies shimmered with a strange inner light, reflecting the colors of the stars around them. They moved with a precision and grace that spoke of intelligence far beyond human understanding. And yet, despite their sophistication, a sense of arrogance colored their thoughts. From the bridge of their flagship, Xyrix, their leader, looked down upon Earth with a mixture of amusement and contempt. His faceted eyes glittered as he studied the swirling clouds and vast oceans below, and a cold, almost musical laughter escaped his lips. He could not understand how such a chaotic, fragile-looking planet could harbor any threat, much less a species capable of challenging them. "Look at them," he said, his voice echoing through the control chamber like a series of harmonious chimes. A tiny, wet world, barely able to keep their atmosphere stable. How could they ever hope to stand against us? Weak, primitive, a mere curiosity in the galaxy. Around him, the Xylar officers nodded, their crystalline bodies vibrating with agreement, their thoughts filled with strategies for an easy conquest. They had already planned the first strike, imagining humans panicked and helpless, their cities crumbling under the precise beams of alien technology. And yet, even as they hovered above the swirling blue and green, scanning every continent and ocean, there was a part of the planet that they overlooked. Something not visible in the cold, logical readouts of their instruments. The air itself seemed ordinary, and yet it carried within it the echoes of life that had fought and adapted for billions of years. Tiny invisible molecules, magnetic currents, and a delicate balance of gases formed an unseen shield, one that humans had learned to live with, harness and thrive within, though the Xylar could not comprehend it. As Xyrix continued to mock and plan, the first faint whispers of the planet's true strength began to stir. Beneath the clouds, storms raged with a fury that had shaped life and hardened the species inhabiting it. The oceans, vast and deep, carried the momentum of millennia, while the land was scarred with volcanoes, rivers, and mountains that told the story of survival through chaos. Yet from above, all this seemed like fragile beauty to the aliens, a world that appeared delicate and weak. They did not see the humans below, moving with determination in the face of constant challenges, building their cities, their ships, and their machines from nothing but ingenuity and persistence. They did not see the young engineers and pilots training, the scientists studying the stars, the ordinary people working tirelessly to master the planet they called home. All they saw were the apparent flaws, the seeming fragility, and they laughed at it. But in that laughter lay their first mistake, for in mocking what they could not immediately measure, they failed to recognize a truth older and stronger than any warship in their fleet. That life, especially human life, had survived, adapted, and fought through impossible odds, and that the very air humans breathed, fragile as it seemed, could one day become the instrument of their resistance. And so, as the alien fleet floated arrogantly above, confident in their judgment, the first chapter of an epic struggle was silently written, a tale that would soon turn their scorn into shock and their laughter into fear. High above the surface, the sky was filled with the gleaming forms of alien warships, casting long shadows over Earth's orbit, and inside the human command centers, the tension was almost unbearable. Commander Alara Hayes stood on the bridge of the USS Resolute, her hands gripping the edge of the console as her eyes scanned the countless blips on the display, each representing an enemy vessel moving into striking distance. Her crew moved with calm urgency, voices clipped and precise as they prepared for the attack they knew would be the most dangerous in human history. The Xylar's reputation for superior technology and strategy was legendary, and their drones, sleek and deadly, had already begun to swarm in patterns that would crush a lesser species without effort. Yet, even as the reports of approaching ships filled the bridge, Alara's mind was clear and focused. "They think we're weak," she said, her voice calm but firm, carrying a quiet confidence that seemed to steady everyone around her. "Let's show them what humans can do." The words were simple, but the conviction behind them was like a spark lighting a fuse of courage in the hearts of every officer and pilot aboard. From the hangars, small human fighters launched into the void, sleek craft designed for speed and maneuverability rather than raw power, and they twisted and darted between incoming drones, dodging beams of energy that would have shattered anything else. Pilot Kai Torres twisted his ship through the chaos, the sensors warning him of danger at every turn. yet instinct and skill guided his movements as though he were part of the ship itself. He fired precise bursts at 2 Xylar drones, watching them explode in silent clouds of energy, and then ducked behind an asteroid field, reappearing seconds later to strike again. The aliens, expecting predictable tactics, were confused by the humans' erratic, bold maneuvers. Across the fleet, other pilots and ground teams used ingenuity over brute force, launching decoy drones, setting traps in the asteroid belts, and coordinating strikes that no alien logic had predicted. Every human action was unpredictable, chaotic in a way that made the aliens hesitate, their superior systems unable to calculate the unexpected. Below, Earth scientists and engineers monitored the battles, providing real-time data that allowed the fleet to adapt and respond with incredible speed. Communications hummed with coordination, strategies forming and shifting as quickly as the human mind could manage. Alara directed the fleet with steady hands, her mind moving faster than any computer, calculating risks and opportunities with clarity born of experience and determination. And while fear existed, it always did, it did not control them. Instead, it became fuel, driving the humans to act with courage and creativity that defied expectation. In the void of space, small explosions dotted the darkness as the first victories of human ingenuity unfolded. Ships survived where they should have been destroyed. Pilots pulled impossible maneuvers, and systems that seemed too fragile for war performed flawlessly under extreme pressure. The Xylar, watching and calculating, began to sense that the humans were more than they seemed, that beneath the fragile appearance lay a species that could adapt, fight, and endure beyond expectation. And yet, even in these early skirmishes, the human fleet was aware of the stakes. Every victory was hard-won, every life precious, and the shadow of the larger battle looming over Earth reminded them that their fight had only just begun. Despite the danger, despite the overwhelming odds, the humans pressed forward, their resolve unwavering, proving that courage, ingenuity, and determination could match or even surpass the raw power of the most advanced alien technology. With every twist of a fighter, every careful strategy, and every calculated risk, humanity began to carve the first lines of a story that would one day be told across the stars. A story of small, fragile beings standing against an empire and refusing to fall. While the first clashes raged in orbit, Earth's surface was a hive of activity, with scientists, engineers, and military strategists working side by side, their minds racing against the clock as the alien threat loomed closer every hour. In massive research stations perched on mountains, hidden deep underground and aboard orbiting platforms, teams of humans analyzed the Xylar ships, their energy signatures, and the patterns of their attacks, seeking any weakness in the alien technology. Among them, Dr. Lena Patel, a leading atmospheric physicist, discovered something extraordinary while running simulations of the planet's air currents and magnetic fields. The results were unexpected. Earth's atmosphere, fragile as it seemed to the aliens, contained immense untapped potential. Variations in charged particles, rare gases, and magnetic interactions could be harnessed to generate bursts of energy strong enough to disrupt even the most advanced alien shields and propulsion systems. Lena rushed to brief Commander Alara, her voice urgent yet filled with controlled excitement. "It's risky," she said, pointing to simulations on a holographic display that glowed in the dimly lit control room. "But if we can channel the atmosphere itself into a focused energy pulse, we might be able to turn the planet into a weapon against them." Alara's mind raced as she considered the possibilities and dangers. The plan would require precision on a scale humans had never attempted, coordination between orbital stations and ground facilities, and perfect timing, or it could fail catastrophically. Yet, beneath the fear of failure, hope sparked. Here was a way to fight back against a technologically superior foe, using something the aliens could not control or fully understand: the life-giving, ever-shifting air of Earth. Across the globe, teams worked tirelessly to build the massive pulse generators, enormous structures that glimmered with energy as they were powered up and tested. Engineers and technicians moved with skill and determination, improvising where designs failed and adjusting plans at a moment's notice. Pilots trained relentlessly, preparing to defend the stations while the pulse was charged and activated. The humans worked not just as individuals but as a united force, their ingenuity and adaptability shining through every obstacle. Meanwhile, the Xylar fleet continued their approach, their laughter echoing across the void as they believed victory was assured. Their scanners picked up the human stations and fleets, but they could not sense the hidden potential in the atmosphere, nor the cleverness of the people orchestrating the defense. They were blind to the fact that humans had learned to survive in impossible conditions for millennia, shaping their skills and technology around the very environment the aliens dismissed as weak. As the countdown to engagement drew near, tension was palpable and yet determination burned brighter. Every technician, scientist, pilot, and soldier understood the stakes. This was not just a battle for territory, but a battle for the survival of humanity itself. They moved as one, each contribution a vital thread in a vast tapestry of resistance, preparing to unleash a force drawn from the planet itself, a power shaped by life, time, and adaptation. The pulse generators hummed with energy, awaiting the command that could change the course of the conflict. And Earth's atmosphere, long underestimated by those who looked down on it, was about to become humanity's greatest weapon. In those moments of preparation, fear and hope coexisted, a mixture that sharpened every mind and strengthened every resolve. Humans had no illusions about the difficulty of what lay ahead, but their spirit, ingenuity, and unity gave them a quiet, unshakable confidence. And far above them, the Xylar continued their approach, still laughing at the fragile humans below, unaware that their mockery was about to be met with a force they could neither predict nor withstand, a force born not from arrogance or technology, but from the indomitable life of Earth itself. The battle above Earth had reached a terrifying intensity, the darkness of space lit intermittently by brilliant flashes of energy as alien warships fired relentlessly at human fleets and orbital stations. Explosions bloomed in the void like deadly stars, scattering debris that floated silently against the backdrop of distant planets. Commander Alara Hayes stood at the bridge of the USS Resolute, her knuckles white as she gripped the console, eyes scanning 100 different readings at once, calculating risks, plotting maneuvers, and coordinating with every pilot and station under her command. The Xylar were relentless, their beams cutting through space with deadly precision, tearing through ships that were smaller and less advanced, and their drones moved in perfect synchronization, surrounding human craft from every direction. But humanity had learned to use chaos as a weapon, twisting, turning, and weaving their ships in ways that alien sensors could not predict, slipping past lines of fire with daring maneuvers and calculated risks. Below, Earth's pulse generators, massive structures built to harness the unique power of the atmosphere, hummed and glowed, channels of energy arcing into the sky, waiting for the precise moment to release their devastating potential. Scientists and engineers monitored the readings with tense focus, their voices steady but urgent as they coordinated timing with orbital forces. Then came the moment. Alara gave the command, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human resilience. "Activate the pulse!" A surge of energy, drawn from the very air, rose like a living thing, twisting and bending with magnetic currents, charging the atmosphere with power that shimmered and crackled across the void. Lightning-like arcs leapt from the clouds into space, striking the Xylar ships, and the force of the energy tore through shields, scrambled navigation systems, and threw warships into tumbling chaos. Alien cruisers spun helplessly, some breaking apart as the raw power of Earth's atmosphere overwhelmed them, and those that remained were battered and disoriented. Pilots like Kai Torres darted through the storm, taking advantage of the chaos to strike at weakened ships, dodging debris and beams alike, moving with a speed and skill that left the aliens reeling. Yet even in the midst of this triumph, the battle remained perilous. Xyrix, enraged at the unexpected turn, descended in his flagship, determined to crush humanity with sheer force, his crystalline body glowing with anger as he unleashed volleys of concentrated energy at the human fleet. Ilara, thinking quickly, coordinated a daring strategy, using smaller ships as bait to lure Xyrix into a trap set within the energy-charged atmosphere. The skies of Earth became a chaotic ballet of light and destruction, human courage clashing with alien arrogance in a battle that seemed almost impossible to survive. Ships were lost, alarms blared, and every decision was a matter of life and death. Yet humanity pressed on, guided by the knowledge that they were fighting not just for survival, but for the right to exist in a galaxy that had dismissed them as weak. As energy arcs danced across space, striking down the invaders, humans could see the first real cracks in the Xylar formation. Confusion replaced arrogance in alien ranks, hesitation replacing their once flawless coordination, and the first taste of fear flickered across Xyrix's face. For the first time, the aliens understood that the planet they had mocked held more power than they could measure, and that the humans, far from helpless, had found a way to wield that power as a weapon. The tide of battle, once hopelessly against them, had begun to shift, and in that shifting light, The courage, ingenuity, and resilience of humanity shone brighter than any star, proving that even against overwhelming odds, the smallest beings could turn the course of war, and that Earth itself, long underestimated, could fight alongside them with devastating force. The battle had reached its peak, the void above Earth a storm of fire, metal, and energy as the Xylar flagship loomed larger than ever, a crystalline monolith glowing with deadly intent. Commander Alara Hayes knew this was the moment that would decide the fate of humanity. Her heart pounded, but her mind was calm, focused entirely on strategy and survival. The USS Resolute led a small elite strike team through a field of shattered alien drones and tumbling debris, weaving with precision and daring, while the pulse generators continued to hum in perfect sync, their energy still flowing into the atmosphere, creating a charged battlefield that favored humans over the overconfident Xylar. Xyrix, sensing that his fleet was faltering, unleashed a torrent of energy. Beams so powerful that entire sectors of human ships were torn apart instantly, alarms screaming, lights flashing, and warning sirens filling the bridge with tense urgency. Yet, even as destruction rained down, humans moved with courage born of necessity, maneuvering through chaos with skill and instinct honed over years of survival. Pilots darted between enemy fire, drawing Xyrix's attention while engineers on the Resolute rerouted power to shields and weapons, adapting faster than any algorithm the aliens had ever faced. Alara issued precise commands, her voice steady, cutting through the tension like a blade, coordinating attacks and defenses in a delicate dance that required flawless timing. She lured Xyrix closer, weaving the flagship into a trap meticulously prepared with the charged atmosphere. A vortex of energy spinning and twisting, invisible until it was too late. The alien leader, proud and arrogant, did not anticipate the ingenuity of his opponents, believing sheer power alone would crush the humans, and he advanced boldly, confident of victory. But the humans, small, fragile, and underestimated, had learned to turn every disadvantage into opportunity. The moment came when the Resolute slipped between Xyrix's massive ship and the charged vortex, drawing the alien flagship into the swirling, searing energy field. Electricity arced, magnetic currents twisted, and the very air seemed to rise against the invader, pulling and smashing the vessel with the force of a planet defending itself. Explosions erupted as the flagship's shields failed, cracks running across its crystalline hull, and the Xylar screamed in disbelief, their precise calculations undone by forces they could not understand or control. Amidst the chaos, pilots like Kai Torres swooped in, rescuing civilians trapped on orbital stations, dodging falling debris and energy blasts with breathtaking skill, proving once again that human courage and ingenuity could match even the deadliest technology. Inside the flagship, Xyrix fought desperately, trying to regain control, but the humans' trap was perfect, their timing impeccable, and slowly, inexorably, the mighty vessel was torn apart, spinning helplessly as the vortex consumed it. When the dust settled, silence filled the void, broken only by the faint hum of human ships and the groans of damaged but surviving fleets. Humanity had not merely survived, they had won. The cost had been high, but the victory was undeniable, a testament to their determination, resilience, and ability to turn what others saw as weakness into overwhelming strength. Alara exhaled, relief and exhaustion mingling as she looked out at the remnants of the battlefield, the stars above unchanged, but the galaxy itself now aware that humans were not to be underestimated. The tale of courage, ingenuity, and the fierce will to survive had reached its climactic peak, proving that even against a superior, arrogant enemy, humanity could triumph through unity, strategy, and the unbreakable spirit that had always defined them. The silence after the storm of battle was almost deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos that had filled space only hours before. And as Commander Alara Hayes stood on the bridge of the USS Resolute, looking out at the remnants of the shattered Xylar fleet drifting among the stars, she felt the weight of what had been achieved pressing down on her shoulders. Humanity had faced an enemy that had thought them weak, fragile, and inconsequential, and yet they had survived, fought back, and won through courage, ingenuity, and the stubborn refusal to give in. Around her, the crew moved quietly, tending to damaged ships, rescuing survivors, and repairing what could be repaired. Their faces a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and the quiet pride of knowing they had accomplished something extraordinary. Earth, though battered, still spun beneath them, the blue oceans and green continents reminding them of what they had fought to protect. The pulse generators, those massive structures that had harnessed the power of the atmosphere itself, glimmered faintly, their work done, a testament to the brilliance and determination of the scientists and engineers who had made the impossible possible. Across the globe, humans emerged from shelters and command centers, staring at the sky, seeing the alien ships retreat or disintegrate, and realizing that the planet itself, the very air they had breathed and sometimes taken for granted, had become a weapon that defended them, turning what was thought to be weakness into the source of their strength. The surviving Xylar, scattered and defeated, would carry a new understanding of humanity across the stars, a species that could adapt, endure, and harness even its environment to overcome foes far stronger and more advanced. Elara knew that the galaxy would remember this day, and that humans, long dismissed as primitive, had proven their worth not through size or overwhelming technology alone, but through spirit, ingenuity, and unity. She allowed herself a moment to reflect, thinking of the pilots who had risked everything, of scientists who had worked tirelessly to manipulate the atmosphere, and of every ordinary person whose determination had fueled the extraordinary efforts of the fleet. Each life, each contribution had been vital, and the victory belonged to all of them, a shared triumph that spoke to the heart of what it meant to be human. Somewhere far away, the surviving Xylar whispered to each other, their arrogance replaced by wariness, their laughter silenced by the realization that humans were not to be underestimated, and that a planet's strength could be far greater than any individual or fleet. For humans, the war was over, but the experience had left an indelible mark, a renewed appreciation for their world, their resilience, and the power that came from uniting in the face of impossible odds. Children would grow up hearing the story of the battle, of the day their species stood against a superior enemy and turned the very air around them into a shield and weapon. And adults would remember the bravery and sacrifice that had made victory possible. Elara looked at the stars one last time before turning to her crew, a small smile breaking through the exhaustion. Humanity had survived. Humanity had fought. Humanity had won. And now, stronger and wiser, they would continue to reach for the stars, not as fragile creatures dismissed by others, but as a species capable of defending itself, thriving, and leaving a lasting mark on the galaxy. The Earth, with all its storms, currents, and life-giving air, had proven its worth alongside its people, and together they had written a story of courage, determination, and triumph that would echo for generations to come. A story that began with ridicule and ended with awe, leaving the universe with a simple but powerful truth: never underestimate humans.